Thanks, guys. Oh, thanks, I need that. Yeah, I know what you're going to think. Another German on the stage. We do make the best cars, you know? No, sorry. It's all the Australian manufacturers. Okay. Well, look, I want to pick up on one of the quotes that my colleague before just made, and it's like, you guys are falling behind. And I really like that quote, and I just want to keep using that because you're not just falling behind in terms of online experience, you're also falling behind in terms of online media. You're not spending the money where the people hang out. And I want to give you some ideas today of how to potentially track that and make up your own mind and find out where your consumers hang out and prove that with actual numbers so you can adjust your budget spend. That's what we call media attribution, finding out where people spend their time, where you get the most return on investment for your money, okay? Now quickly, before I go into that, quick pitch. This is our elevator pitch. This is what Datalicious does. We use data to widen the funnel, get more people in, get more people through. And at the very top of that, that's where media attribution falls in, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, okay? Now, if you do this right, that's the kind of dashboard that we can produce for you. You can see at the top, brand equity. Then on the left-hand side, you get the different other channels, so offline grouped together in one, direct, and online. You can see the investment that was made, and I put the $100 in bracket because that's past investment. That was made over the last couple of years, okay? Brand equity doesn't happen from today to tomorrow. It's all the advertising campaigns that your brand has invested in over the last 10 years or however long it was around, okay? And then we have return on marketing investment, ROMI, defined as incremental return, meaning sales you got in addition to the sales you would have anyway gotten because of your existing brand equity. All these brand manufacturers here in the room, or the agencies that represent them, I'm very sorry to have to tell you that, but even if you switch all your advertising off right now, sorry agencies, you probably still sell cars, okay? Yeah, so you have brand equity, you've been around in market for a long time, people know you, they know that you're around. You would sell cars for quite a few years probably without ever putting any dollars into advertising. That's what the baseline is about here, the brand equity at the top, okay? So what we want to measure from marketing is the incremental sales that you make on top of what you would already do with your baseline activity. So you can see here $7 spent in offline. Incremental return for that was 30 bucks. That's $77 return on marketing investment, all right? I slightly skewed the numbers here. You can see higher return on marketing investment for direct and online. Of course, has to be like that. This is a Google event, right? But if you can get a dashboard like that, it'd be pretty obvious for you where you put your money. You start shifting a little bit out of TV into online and direct, okay? Make sense? This is what we want to produce. Who here has a dashboard like that? Silence in the room. Okay. Can be done. It's not quite as easy as this 30-minute presentation that I'm going to show you, but I'm going to give you a few ideas of how to get there. Okay, some key steps. Some of the key issues that I see preventing return on marketing investment being calculated properly and these dashboards being generated is the lack of a baseline. Like you don't know what your baseline is, and that means you can't calculate the incremental. Okay, so that's probably the first step. Then often you're suffering from conflicting reports. So you've got a lot of different agencies, they all give you a report, and if you sum up all these numbers together, you actually sold more cars than you actually have. So that's obviously a problem because you can't really trust any of these numbers, so it doesn't really make any sense of where then to put your money, okay? So we really got to get all these people in the room, have them all use the same numbers. And then it's kind of hard to attribute profit back to the actual media that you spend. So you're selling cars, the car sales happen in the car dealership, that's where the cash is being made. So how do you then tie that back to online dollars spent? That's a problem. So I'll give you a couple of ideas around that. Now, the first thing that we got to do though, before we can do media attribution, is really got to crack that duplication issue, okay? So if you're running advertising campaigns, I'll just use the online example now, but this also applies to offline. You're using different channels. So here we have paid search, banner. This is kind of weird. Like usually you can sort of take a glimpse over your shoulder and find out what you're talking about. Here you got to look down. So you're running a campaign and you use different channels. You use paid search, you use banner ads, you use email campaigns, organic searches in there as well. And they all have their own platform. That means every one of these platforms uses their own cookies to count sales, okay? Now, you only sold one car in this example. The consumer interacted with all 4 platforms. Because they're completely different, you're counting 4 sales. How on earth are you going to ever use those numbers to split your budget? Okay, it doesn't work. You can only count a sale once. So this is the first thing we need to get at. Some form of central analytics platform. There needs to be a single source of truth. One platform, one set of reports, one set of numbers that doesn't double count, that only counts a sale once. Then, once you have that, you can then decide how to attribute credit from that sale back to the different channels that are involved. Okay? That's the very first step, deduplication. Without that, we can't do anything. And it's not as hard as you might think. So the next thing that we need to then do is we need to track the full path to purchase. So what we're currently doing, and what Google's been doing for a couple of, I'm not sure if I can say decades, but for a long, long time, is they've taken the credit for a conversion and given all of it to the final touch point, the closer on this slide, the last click. Okay? They're moving away from that. They're making some really big strides in that area, and there's some pretty cool innovations coming out in terms of Google Analytics tracking. Well, I'm not allowed to tell you about them, but stay tuned. Anyway, so the last click model, giving all the credit for this conversion to the closer, is just not really very fair, is it? Because all the other touch points were involved as well. The introducer, the influencers. There's not just one campaign that leads to a sale, especially not in car sales, because it's a month-long process of research and making decisions. Okay? So we need to track every single touch point, campaign touch point, paid and organic, introducers, influencers, and closers leading up to a conversion. So in this example here, the direct visit at the front, for example, could be your existing brand equity. Okay, so somebody has crashed their car, the thing is totaled, they need to buy a new car, they know that, you know, there's BMW, there's Audi, there's Subaru, there's Holden, you know? They know all these car brands, they've heard about them for 10, 20 years. That's your brand equity. So they start with a direct visit to your site. But that doesn't convince them. They're now in research mode. They're going to go around, respond to different ads. So they're going to see a display ad. Or they're going to probably see 20 or 30. They never click on them though, because there's only 8% of people in the population that click on 80% of the ads, the clickers. All right? People never click on display ads. All right? So you need to track the pure exposure, not just clicks. We want to track the full path to purchase, paid and organic campaign touch points, including just mere impressions, because they're really important. Because in this example, the guy doesn't click on the ad, he just does a search a day later. He remembers seeing that ad, and then does an organic search for that brand a day later. And then maybe they sign up for some sort of email program, they respond to an email campaign, here's CRM, and then they buy. Okay? Track the full path to purchase so we can then take the profit and reallocate the profit back to the different channels that were involved. So in this case here, let's say the profit is $100, each of those touch points gets 25 bucks. That's just. That way we can actually calculate return on marketing investment. Yeah? Or in the bottom example, first touch point on the left, TV campaign, print campaign. You guys spent enormous amounts of money in print and TV, still. Okay, and this is where I think you're falling behind. Yeah? I was not paid by Google to say that. If you want to crack this return on marketing investment thing, you need to figure out how your offline channels are influencing online interactions. You need to track that. That's a big part of what's going on. Okay? That's also brand equity. It's generated elsewhere. It's not generated online. It's generated in a different channel. And then maybe a paid search as a follow-up. So what I'm trying to tell you with this, the full path to purchase tracking, technologically, not that hard. I want to give you a couple of ideas today how to solve these key breaking points here. So how do you track a TV ad leading to an online research, online interaction? And also the breaking point at the back. How can you tie online to profit, to actual sales in the car industry? That's the things I want to go on a little bit more today. Now, before we get into that, just a couple of stats around that. The influencers in the middle that you saw on that chart before, there's a bit of research from ClearSaleing in the US, not sure how relevant that is for car industry, it might be completely off, but even if these numbers are completely off, there's still an interesting message in it. If 9 out of 10 ad interactions are influencers in the middle, then you're missing, with tracking just the last click, you're missing out of 9 out of 10 impressions, interactions, some form of advertising that somebody was exposed to that you're not tracking, that you're not giving credit to, but you are spending money on. Another interesting one is a study from comScore. It was done like 2 or 3 years ago. It's a bit old now, but it's done in the US again, sorry, not Australian research. But what these guys did, they ran a control exposure test. And they basically exposed a couple of people only to search, and then another couple of people they exposed to banner advertising and search, and saw what the difference was. So the test group here is the one that got display ads and search, all right? And you can see there's a lift, a significant lift. These people never clicked on an ad, a banner ad, but the banner ads indirectly influenced their behavior. They searched and they directly went to the advertiser website. This is what that means here. Advertiser site reach means people seeing an ad, never clicking on it, and then going directly to the advertiser's website. Yeah? They know your brand. They know if I see a Subaru ad, that the domain is subaru.com.au, you don't have to tell them that. They're quite smart. Consumers are not stupid, okay? Especially not if they're spending 30, 40 grand on a car. They will spend some time researching that. And the last little bit where I really like this study and was so good for you is because they broke it down by industry. And you can see the average lift was about 46%, but in the automotive industry it was 114%. It was actually the largest lift in this study. Automotive, nobody clicks on ads, but they have an impact, okay? Now, I'm going to start picking on Subaru today, and I got permission for that, doing that. Is actually Subaru in the room? No? Yes, excellent. I hope you were warned before. If not, you get it now. So, the Subaru Forester ad. I watched it on YouTube. Never saw it in real life. Would have not given you 45 seconds of my life anyway to watch the whole thing. Way too long. Got better things to do. So what happens, you watch that ad. It's a nice ad, actually, once you take the time watching it. It sort of appeals to a lot of different target groups. Here's for the kids. This is for the camping guys. More kids. Yep, drive it to the beach, jump right in the water. Active guys. And then the last screen. Subaru. I never would have arrived at that screen with long switch channels. Okay, that's reality. Okay, I'm sorry, Subaru, but that's the reality. Nobody watches that to the end, unless you're dead keen or work for Subaru. At the bottom it says subaru.com.au. Yeah? You don't have to tell me it's subaru.com.au because I know that. I know your URL, I know your brand, you know, and the only thing I'm going to do is just search for Subaru. Okay? Now the problem with that is, if I just go to the subaru.com.au domain directly, you have no idea that I was exposed to this television ad, so there's no way of tracking it. So why not make it a little bit better? People are going to search for you anyway, okay? Like, I'm sure Google has beaten this method to death, that every online interaction starts with a search, okay? So they're gonna search for you anyway. Why not push them a little bit in the right direction? So here in this example, say, if you're interested in this, search for the all-new Forester. Because that search term was only advertised in this TV ad, meaning that you know exactly if somebody came onto your site from that search term, they had to respond to that TV ad. You know, 1-300 numbers don't work. Website URLs a bit cryptic as well. People don't remember that stuff. Our human brain is not designed to remember numbers or long cryptic stuff. We remember search terms, words. That's how we interact every day. Okay? I'm pretty bad at remembering names, but remember numbers much better. But most of everybody else is different. Yeah? People remember words. Also, if somebody responds to this search term, the experience is much better because they don't end up on the Subaru homepage, subaru.com.au, and then have to find Forester, which is actually not very hard because the Subaru homepage is really, really cool. It's very easy to find it, but that's not the case for everybody else, all right? If I respond to a search term, I also get the ability to send somebody directly to the relevant landing page, meaning the experience is much more relevant, okay? Another advantage, not just tracking, also the experience. And then, last suggestion, if not everybody watches that video to the end, and by the way, you can log into YouTube if you've posted that and actually see where most people drop off. Why not put the search term or the call to action right through the whole ad? Okay, if I'm the guy who's like really keen on the camping stuff here, that's when you got me. I don't need to watch the rest. Give me a way to react, to respond right then and there. Maybe small in the bottom corner. You don't have to put the Google logo that big in there either, but you know, it's a creative solution that you give your creative guys and say, give me a call to action throughout the entire video, make it look pretty. All right, but why not give people the option to respond? So they search anyway, no matter what you do, all right? If they just type in Subaru, you have no clue where they got the interest from. Could have been TV, print, whatever, okay? So again, print ad. Why not use this print ad, put at the bottom all new Forester? In this instance, same search term. I could have not differentiated between the TV ad and the print ad, okay? But I think we could just try to find a different search term for this. So what is this here? Beloved SUV. So the search term we're suggesting could be, for example, search for the beloved Forester, okay? Might be a bit tacky or whatever, you know, again, this is just an example. Get your creative agency to think about the search call to action and integrate it into a creative. It's a creative challenge, yeah? The search term should not be specified by your media agency. It can be combined with the creative. But if you make it unique, then you know this was from a print ad. Now, think about the whole explosion of mobile devices. Everybody's got a smartphone now. iPhones in Australia, crazy, biggest market share all over the world. Everybody's got an iPhone. Everybody's got email wherever they want to go. So why not start using email as a call to action? Unique email in a print ad. And you automatically, when you type that in, when you send an email to that, a blank email, you get an automatic reply with more information on the Subaru Forester. So think outside the box, like search calls to action, not just search call to action. Calls to action are the key way of making media attribution happen offline to online. Unique calls to action. Get creative. It doesn't just have to be the old domain that everybody knows already anyway and the 1-300 number that nobody can remember anyway. Okay? Now, next thing where this whole thing breaks. How are we going to tie profit back from a car sale to online activity? I want to give you an idea. You can do that a lot of different ways, but this is one idea that might be, I don't know if you can implement that or not, but I think it's not that hard. And we've done something very similar for a big telco in Australia. So, you're all digital marketers, so I don't have to explain how cookies work to you. You all know how that works, yeah? What you can see here is a very basic representation. So, there's an advertising campaign. People click on that, they come to a website, they do research, they get a cookie. And because they have the same cookie from the campaign and in the website, I can tie these people together, and I know that the guy who's on my website right now came from that advertising campaign. Cookie, unique identifier, okay? Basic cookie tracking. Now, if these guys then request a quote, yeah? Or they watch a video, or they do a car configuration thing, they still have the same cookie, and that means I can tie them all together. That's the only way I can do that, okay? This guy has the same cookie. I know that the guy who requested a quote was the same guy that watched the video who also came from that advertising campaign because he has the same cookie, okay? Now, if he would buy a car online, he would get to that all-important online thank you page. Thank you very much for just handing over $30,000. Your car will arrive in 6 months, or 1 week if you guys are better with your supply chain, okay? But that page doesn't exist yet. As we heard before, people will buy cars online, but they're not yet, okay? So there's a bit of a gap until they start buying online. What are we going to do? They don't hit that thank you page because it doesn't exist yet. They don't buy online yet, but they do buy, yeah? They walk into the store and buy. But I can't give them a cookie in the store, can I? Yeah, because they don't, you know, they think about other things right then. And I can't do it technologically either, so I got to give them a cookie later. Think about a kiosk. In dealership kiosk where somebody can go and, hey, I kind of like this car, but I don't want to talk to that sales guy. I really want to get my information in a different way. Put a kiosk in store where you can actually type your email address in and say, send me some information, particularly about the motor later, or something like that. There you go. Identified the guy. He was in store. I have his email address. I can tie this whole thing together. Email address is very, very powerful to tie the different data sets together because the email address exists everywhere, okay? And look, this is not so important for you yet, okay? But mobile is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, so I just need you to understand that this whole media attribution and media tracking online is based on cookies. And cookies are device and browser specific. That means that you're accumulating a purchase path. Think back to that very first slide where it said tracking the entire path to purchase. You are accumulating a purchase path for every separate device. So I got all these devices. I got a purchase path for a Subaru at home, on my mobile, at work, on my tablet. And you have to identify people on every single one of these devices, for example, through an email click-through or a login. So you can, after the fact, tie all this data back together, okay? This is not a problem yet. Don't get too upset about that, because it gets fairly complicated if you get into that area. But with the explosion of devices, this is something that we will have to address, yeah? So, in the end, what we've done, we've tracked every single campaign touch point leading up to a sale. We've also tied offline sales back to online activity using the first login or like a welcome email after a sale, okay? What are we going to do with it? In this instance here, there was a campaign or multiple campaigns. Somebody saw a video. Then they did a car configuration. Then they requested a quote. That's where I got their email address, yeah? Then they went to the dealer and bought, and they clicked through on that welcome email they got afterwards, so I can tie the whole thing together, yeah? So I know $100 revenue, profit in the end, or profit, whatever it was, happened because of those 3 website interactions. It's probably more, but let's simplify, yeah? So I can take the $100 and chop them up. And say, well, I think the video view was worth $10 of those 100, the car configuration 30, and the final requested quote was worth 60. Yeah? You can run some fancy stats analysis on that to decide what the value should be. Maybe you guys as marketers want to go, I know what the value should be, okay? But the point is, for the couple of people that go through the whole experience, for the couple of people, it won't be everybody, okay? It will be a small sample of your whole population. For the few people that you have the entire path to purchase, every single campaign touch point, and for the few people that actually went through and purchased and you were able to link that back to online, you have the full data set. So we can use that data set to extrapolate back to the people where we don't. In the last example, that guy never went through with a purchase, or he just simply didn't log in afterwards. He didn't click on that welcome email. So I can't tie profit to online events. But I can use the data from the ones where I had that information to extrapolate back that this guy here, he watched a video, boom, that's worth $10. He also did a car configuration, boom, that's worth $30. So now I can even in that case calculate a return on marketing investment for that campaign, and it was $40. Does that make sense? Yeah? That's an easy way for you guys to start passing revenue into your Google Analytics reports. Yeah? It's not going to be accurate revenue, but at least it's going to allow you to identify some form of trends, differences between channels, and identify some trends. Okay? And that was it. Thank you very much for your time. Sorry for the breakdowns. Any questions, I'll hang around.